Patricia Highsmith examines the effects of abuse. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels. Today it is Short Story Tuesday, so I wanted to focus on a short story of interest from an author that I haven't talked about before. So this is one that I'm just experiencing for the first time. It's always good. I've been talking a lot about authors that I've been that I've encountered before, and it's good to get it like something new, something different there. And today's short story is all about turtles and abuse. I am referring to The Terrapin by Patricia Highsmith, which was published in 1970 in her short story collection, The Snail Watcher. For those who don't know, Patricia Highsmith was an American author, white American author, who lived in the 1900s. She was known for writing stories that questioned morality and focused on identity in particular. And these stories include like Strangers on a Train, which was later adapted into a movie, as well as something that people call the Ripleyad, which is about like The Talented Mr. Ripley and other such stories, which again were also adapted into movies, one of them starring Matt Damon at a later point. And she wrote a number of other books and short stories as well, which is pretty cool. And she was well regarded in her time, but a lot of people viewed her as very whiny or annoying, and somewhat of a androgen, or the word is like she hated, misanthropist, I believe is the correct word. She didn't seem to like humanity. Like a lot of people have said she was a woman who hated women, but it also seems, based on what I read, that she just didn't like humanity in general. She was anti-Semitic, like she supported Palestinians, but that might have been because she didn't like the Jews. She didn't get along with other women, which is interesting because she was a lesbian, which is another interesting thing. I didn't intend to talk about her during Pride Month. That's just how it happened. I'm talking about this in June 2024, so that seems significant. But a lot of people have regarded her as just like a very down person, and some of that's reflected in her work. I particularly see that in this short story today, and I'm sure I would encounter that in some of her other writings as well. So that's very unfortunate, but she's dead, so we can talk about that as it pertains to her work as well. And we're not giving any money to an anti-Semitic person, so that's also a good thing. And without further ado, let's talk about The Terrapin. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So The Terrapin focuses on Victor, a young boy, and his strange mother living at their home. At the beginning of the story, she comes home from the grocery store and asks for his help for putting things away. And Victor is a bit distant from other people. And we quickly find that might be because he's emotionally and physically abused by his mother. She smacks him around whenever he doesn't do something that she wants, and she always calls him a baby and says there's something wrong with his head, even though he knows there's not. And if she makes him cry, like again she points that out, not a very nice person and very hard to live with. And to make matters worse, I did point out that he was distant from other kids, but that has something to do with his mother as well, as she's forcing him to wear clothes and like doesn't want him really hanging outside very much, so he doesn't get many opportunities to connect with those other kids. And then there's the additional mockery that takes place, and it's clear that he's not having a good time in this situation. However, when Victor sees the groceries that his mother brings home, he discovers a live turtle, or a terrapin as his mother calls it, in one of the bags. And she says it's going to be used for the stew, which he's upset about, but he decides he wants to play with the turtle for a little bit before she makes a stew down the road. He even like takes it outside to the, or he doesn't take the turtle. He tells the like kid downstairs that he has a turtle. The kid seems interested in it and he wants to even show it off to him, but his mother insists that they have to make the stew, which is upsetting because this would allow him to connect with others, but also the turtle is fun to play with. And then later in the story, we see that a woman named Mrs. Bedzirkian comes for a visit to regularly chat with Victor's mother. And while they're chatting, they make fun of Victor a little bit. And when he dares to stand up for himself, his mother's like, "We're not talking to you, go away." And Victor thinks she's going to like hit him after Mrs. Bedzirkian leaves. But she ends up not doing that, although the threat of it is always real for Victor. And then later that night, the mother decides that she has to kill the Terrapin, the turtle, right now to prepare the stew later. And Victor sees it happening and is very sad by it and just quite shocked. And his mother even makes fun of him for having that expression on his face. And then they proceed to go to bed. Victor wakes up in the night and he wants to leave, but he doesn't feel that his mother will ever let him. And so he just grabs a knife, goes to her room, and stabs her. She's loud about it, like it's allowed, so other people like hear her. Like they hear her like dying, and they break down the door, and Victor is arrested. They take him to a psych hospital where they ask him a lot of questions, and as the story comes to a close, Victor just notes, the narrator notes, that no one asked him about the Terrapin, so he didn't talk about it, which is a pretty interesting way to end the story. In terms of analysis, there's a fair bit to talk about with the Terrapin. One of the central ideas, the main idea of this story, is that of abuse and its effects. The mother mocks Victor and slaps him around, so you see emotional abuse as well as physical abuse. She makes him feel small, insignificant, and he's not having a good time living with this woman. And, that's not ideal because this person is your mother, and mothers, parents in general, are supposed to provide you with love and care and protection, and Victor does not feel like he has that. And so there's that sense of constant frustration, the crying that he does, the feeling that he might not be able to hang out with other people and connect with other people, that the isolation again, because his mother is very protective of him, doesn't want him to go outside and maybe learn about the world. And again, he does want to leave, but there's that feeling that he might never leave. Allow me to read you an interesting quote from this. "When they went to bed, he felt afraid of the dark. He saw the Terrapin's face very large, its mouth open, its eyes wide and full of pain. Victor wished he could walk out the window and float, go anywhere he wanted to, disappear, yet be everywhere. He imagined his mother's hands on his shoulders, jerking him back. If he tried to step out the window, he hated his mother." And so there you just get the feeling that Victor is afraid of his situation and he wants to go somewhere else, be anywhere but in this position that he's in. But he feels like he can't leave because his mother will always pull him back. And that ultimately leads to him deciding to grab the knife and kill his mother. And I do like how Highsmith notes that abuse comes in many forms. Many people assume that abuse can only be physical, but it can also be emotional, as she shows here, that parents can torment you in a number of different ways. And, I know a lot of parents might be like, "Oh, I'm just trying to toughen up my children or whatnot," but your children don't need to be tough. They need to be children, and to mock them and treat them like they're small and insignificant is not good. It's not a nice thing to do. And Highsmith had a difficult relationship with her own mother, according to her biographer. So maybe she's talking from a little bit of experience there. It also shows that the lashing out in this story was not random. Like, I'm sure the people who broke down the door might think that Victor did this at random and that the mother was a great person and whatnot. But Victor, he was pushed to this point by his mother. He felt he had no other recourse. Now, it's not, you can understand where he's coming from without condoning the behavior, of course. But others might feel that this came out of nowhere, even though there were circumstances leading up to it. There was abuse that kind of precipitated the feeling that this is the only thing you can do to get out of this situation. It's also important to talk about the turtle in this story, as it seems to be a very large symbol representing something. But what exactly does it represent? I think it represents that the only joy that Victor has felt in quite a while, the only joy that's really in his life. It's an opportunity to connect with others, particularly the other boy in this sort of living situation that he's in. He can chat with the boy, connect, and maybe talk about other things down the road. It's an avenue for not being ridiculed. It's an avenue for connecting with someone in a way that he hasn't really done before, because all he seems to have is his mother, and she's tormenting him, and nobody just wants that in their life. So the turtle provide some hope. However, the mother just kills it. She's like, we're using this for the stew. And when he's like, I want to play with it, I want to have it for a little bit longer, she's like, no, we're going to kill it. There's no negotiation there at all. And even when she sees that, like, oh, this turtle meant something to my son, she mocks him. Like, this was his one source of joy, and it's gone. Like, and she doesn't even care. She's just mocking him. She wants him to be stronger than he is, and it's a very big sense of cruelty for something that like you're mocking someone for feeling something, for having a connection to something, and it might explain a lot about the mother, that maybe she isn't capable of really having these feelings of connection or really like strong feelings at all. So whenever someone else has them, she has to mock them. There might be a deeper layer there that Patricia Highsmith might be getting at. But it's very interesting how Highsmith uses this turtle as sort of a deeper sort of symbol representing other emotions, other possibilities for the character. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Terrapin, and a pretty okay short story, not particularly like groundbreaking or anything like that, but one that I think is worth reading. I'll put a link to it in the description. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as well. I would love to hear from you and just have a discussion about this. I might be interested in checking out more Patricia Highsmith in the future, as Strangers on a Train sounds like an interesting idea. I haven't watched the movie, but I'd love to read the book. It might be particularly engaging or something like that, especially if it has similar emotions and maybe higher tension as well. But yeah, don't forget to also like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this story or this author if they don't already know. Also join the Discord if you want to have further conversations about this sort of thing. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and turtle-based travels. Farewell.